I am a little bit nervous.
What are you nervous about?
I don't know. I guess it's because it's a bunch of people I know coming, and you want it to be good because you made a big stink about it online. So, like, it should be good if that happens, but I don't know.
What are you going to do if it's not good?
This journey really begins with the musical Cats. I don't know if you guys know the musical Cats. It was like a furry's dream and God's nightmare, basically. A few years ago, the powers that be at Hollywood decided that what we needed from the film industry was to create these awful human-cat hybrids to sing musical songs to us. And yours truly managed to get a work experience at the production company. I'm here now, so I think we can all agree it didn't work out. And one day I step into the lift with the main designer and I try and make conversation with him. So I go, "How's your day going?" And he goes, "Oh, you know, just cats, cats, cats." And I say, "Oh, loose in the building," which is an example of a joke. And he didn't see it that way. He instead goes, "What?" Like that. And I go like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like loose in the building." Like loose in the building? Like loose in, because you said cats meaning cats, but I said cats meaning cats, you know, like loose in the building. You know cats? Because you said cats meaning, I meant cats like, well, you know, cats, but you meant cats meaning cats, you know, cats. Do you know cats? Cats, loose in the building? Do you know cats? Cats, loose cats. And eventually he just goes, "Oh, okay." And then we ride the lift down in utter silence. And I step out and I go like, "Am I fired?" And then he goes, "You're not getting paid." And the reason that's where we're starting is because it's the first moment I realized the power of my own failure. The reason you guys are all here tonight is because you are ready to unlock your inner boy boss and fail upwards to the stars. Thanks to my patented 7-step method. What is a boy boss? I hear you cry. There are 2 definitions, both from the Urban Dictionary. I don't know if you know the Urban Dictionary. It's like the regular dictionary, but annoying. The first definition describes a strapping young man ruthlessly making his way through the corporate world by commanding his subordinates and eliminating his competition. And I think we can all agree that's not what's happening here. I don't even have ordinates, let alone subordinates. And like, I'm also very aware a lot of you are here is because you received a panicky DM with a ticket link begging you to come. The second definition describes someone who has failed so spectacularly that they have reached the boss level. And what I hope to do with this show is combine these definitions and create something beyond the Urban Dictionary's comprehension, right? And I don't want you to think it's a gendered thing as well. My method is for boys of all genders, truly. Like, it's really more of a state of mind. Like, a boy boss is someone who's not afraid to ask for a straw with their pints. Do you know what I mean? It's someone who switches banks for the free £200 because it's more money than they've ever seen in their life. Do you know how much £200 is? It's 10 20s or 20 10s, you know? I mean, the mind boggles. It's insane. A boy boss it's Bruno Mars dancing in a Las Vegas residency to pay off his mafia debts, okay? Being a boy boss it's Robbie Williams. Do you know Robbie Williams? He's a pop star and sometimes CGI monkey. And last year he made a movie about his life that cost £20 million to make, and in its opening weekend made £20,000. A failure at the boss level, okay? And for all this, like, you know, stuff we're saying, just know that it's boy boss and not boss baby, because I cannot tell you how many shareholders I've had to talk off a ledge for that one. And to get it on record now, I would never be voiced by Alec Baldwin, okay? And this is a practice that has gone on for millennia. The very first boy boss was a man I like to call the Pompeii wanker. If you didn't know about Pompeii, I hate to break it to you like this. But in 79 AD, a volcano erupted that fossilized the town of Pompeii, including one gentleman who stuck in this position like this. 3 things are possible about this gentleman. Either A, he was so in the wank that he didn't hear a volcano erupting in the distance, right? Or B, he saw the volcano erupting and he thought to himself, listen, I'm not gonna make it to safety, you know. Let's just crank one out for old time's sake, you know. He was like, no one's gonna know, and now we all know, you know? Or C, he saw the volcano erupting and discovered that he had a new kink for Mother Earth. Like, it's the ultimate danger wank if you think about it. He's just like, she's spewing, I will also be spewing, okay? It might be the first recorded wank of history, honestly, and that is Boyboss, okay? The very first step, by the way, I know Kieran was chatting shit about the B before. Wait till she sees this fucking S here. That's nothing. But the first step in becoming a boy boss is to have a beginner's mindset. Believe it or not, I was not always the boy boss you see before you. I was actually unemployed for a very long time. I was so one single clap for there. They don't go out on Tuesdays typically, I'll tell you. I was so unemployed that it made me miss my old job as a COVID testing person. Because that job had its perks, because you never get sick of old guys going like, ah! on the stick, you know? Like, you think that would get old, but every time, ah! You know, it's like you're wearing the mask and everything because you're laughing too much. That's the real reason. And one time a guy, he chomped down on it. I'll never forget it. He went like, oh, like that. And I was like, listen, regardless of the results, you should isolate. Like, you shouldn't be outside. I was so unemployed that, like, the scam emails I would get were for, like, patronizingly low amounts of money. Like, do you ever get those emails where they're like, hey, it's the government here. Would you believe it? You paid too much tax. Click here and claim your £25. And I'd see that and I'd just be like, oh my God, I pay tax? That's amazing. I didn't know that was going on. And secondly, how do they just know I'm willing to give up all cybersecurity for like a new t-shirt from Uniqlo? It's incredible technology. Like, the job ads right now, they're not like real jobs. They say things that make no sense. They're like, the benefits of this position are, we have millennial vibes. The pay is that we break up some bread and throw it at you, you duck! You'll need 4 years experience making your own cryptocurrency, and you'll have to tell us what happened to DB Cooper. But if you know how AI works, you're our boss now, so congratulations. It's not good. Like, even when you get job offers, it feels like a scam. I remember I was on the phone with a guy once, and he was like, we'd love to offer you the job. I don't know if we talked about salary, but we think 30K is pretty good. And I panicked because, like, I know you're supposed to ask them for more money, so they give you more money. But I'm very scared of confrontation. I don't know if you can see me. But I've got like the upper body strength of a twiggler and like the face of a 15-year-old who signed up for World War I too early. So I'm very scared of confrontation. So I'm on the phone with him. He's like, "You still there? We think 30K." And I panic and go, 31? And I don't know if you've ever heard someone lose respect over the phone for you, but I could hear it in his voice that he was like, okay, this guy can only count to 1. As if as well, that extra K was like a life-changing amount of money, you know? Like, I really needed that extra 80 quid a month to take my girl to the Shrek adventure and get a single pint, you know? It's so funny doing that joke here, because in Edinburgh, the Shrek adventure is their whole life in Scotland. You know what I mean? They don't know. They can't relate to that. I think part of the reason I was unemployed for so long is that I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, mainly because a woman on TikTok told me that I did. I don't know if you guys spend much time on that app, but every other video is a woman who comes on and she'll go like, hey, do you sweat when it's hot? that's actually a symptom of ADHD. And that happened enough times I had to go to the doctor to get a diagnosis, but he wouldn't give it to me. I kept being like, I've got it. And he was like, you don't have it. And I was like, I've definitely got it. And then he just wrote in my notes, struggling in general, which... Don't do it, I warned you. And I was like, I know that, like, you know, it was like he was just chatting shit about me to other doctors, you know? It was like, listen, it's not ADHD, but check this guy out, because fucking something is wrong with him. I think it is quite hard to get the treatment you need for mental health and in this country, and I feel that way because I read recently at York University, in an effort to de-stress exam students, they decided to introduce a goose feeding session. And I just feel like several animals must have cancelled before they got to goose. Because geese are easily top 3 most stressful animals in the world. Like, I've never felt relaxed with a goose, you know? The most I felt is, like, disappointed that it wasn't a duck, you know? Because they don't eat bread, they break your arm. And then I did more reading on this. I don't know if you know this, in York, they have, like, too many geese. There's, like, 3 million geese for every 2 people or something. So I think they just reached a point where they were like, listen, we don't have medical funding. We have geese. Can I prescribe you geese? Is that okay? And I think you have to be careful about the kind of job you end up doing, because I remember I was talking to a guy at a party and I was like, what do you do? And he was like, I'm a DJ. And I was like, oh, like professionally? And then he was like, oh, no. For my day job, I develop non-lethal weapons for the military. And I was like, okay. So you're not a DJ then? Like, you can't lead with DJ. And he was like, no, I know, but I'm just trying to change the industry from the inside. And I was like, what industry? The billion-pound military industry, where business has been booming for 3,000 years. You really think you're gonna come in with a Rura remix on this? Like, I don't think so. I think it's more likely you're going to develop Wicca Wicca warheads instead. And I was like, how does that even work? Do you just swap out the AK-47s for water pistols? How does that go down? And he was like, well, we just developed this landmine that instead of exploding, it shoots out these tentacles and captures the tank instead. And I was just like, what kind of Wallace and Gromit shit are we just throwing at the enemy now? And I also just wonder how far back that goes, you know? Was there like executioners in medieval times being like, oh no, I hate this job. I'm just trying to fund my lute playing. You know? Anyway, he's DJ War Crimes. You can check him out on SoundCloud. He's got a very complicated relationship to the drop, let me tell you. And but I was unemployed for a very long time, and the weirdest part was I was actually unemployed at the same time as my dad, which led to a lot of weird conversations, mainly consisting of him going like, hey, do you have a job? And I'd be like, no, do you have a job? And he'd be like, no, do you want to watch Flog It later? And I was like, of course I want to watch Flog It. What else am I going to do at 3 p.m., you know? And I think it got to my dad more than it got to me, because my dad asked me if I wanted to have a, quote, weed session with him. Because he talks like an undercover cop, I guess, you know? I think he just wanted me to know that he was cool with it, you know? Like, he was walking up to me being like, fancy seeing you here, fellow stoner. Let me tell you something, I love the jazz cabbage, I really do. Like, one time me and Richard smoked a doobie, and all the smoke from that devil's lettuce went right into my lungs and made me super giggly, and I'd love to do it again if only there was a reefer salesman in the vicinity. Like, you got loads of lava lamps and started making tie-dyes out of nowhere, and like, for me, it's like, where was this energy when you caught me with a baggie going to Reading Festival in 2012? Because it was not a very Snoop Dogg move of you when you made me flush it down the toilet, Dad. Like, you can't come back here like, let's get matching legalize it t-shirts. It doesn't work like that. And I kind of want to do it. I kind of want to smoke weed with my dad. Would you smoke weed with your dad?
Yeah, sure.
Sure? Okay, so what's it like to have a good relationship with your father?
It's quite nice, actually.
Oh, God, oh, no. What am I doing? Great for you. Yeah, cool. I want to do it because it would be nice to hang out with my dad, not as father and son, but as people, you know? But I don't think my dad is thinking that. I think he's thinking that he doesn't know where to get weed, and I don't have the heart to tell him that I also don't know where people get weed. I don't know, where is it? Where is it? I won't move on. Where is it? Where is weed? Where is it? Because I've heard it comes out the ground, but I can't find it anywhere. And like my friends that get it, they're just like, I have a number, and I call the guy, as if that explains anything. Like, I don't know where to get weed. I can't roll it. The best I can do is smoke it, and even then, it's touch and go at best. You know? Anytime I've ever smoked weed with people, I feel like I'm saying, hey, do you want to come over and watch me almost fall asleep for 4 hours? And then see yourself out? Would that be fun for you? Like, I don't know if I like smoking weed or if I like having 90s hip-hop explained to me. That's kind of where I'm at with it. You know, actually, I'd love to reveal right now, I've kept that joke in. It's never done well. But I love it. I like it for me. Cut the cameras! Cut the cameras! No. What is it? One time I remember going with my friend to his dealer's house to pick up, as they say, and we ended up having to listen to the dealer's roommate freestyle rap. And ladies and germs, I cannot describe to you the energy of this kitchen as we sat in a stony silence, listening to an amateur rapper with no beat freestyle on the subject of chlamydia, if you're interested. I don't really know if he went in, so to speak, because I kind of blacked out, but the last thing I heard him say was like, chlamydia, got it from Lydia, and my brain was like, no, we're gone. We do not need to be here for the rest of this, that's fine. The thing I'm also worried about with my dad is that my dad is one of those loud dads. I don't know if you have a relative like this, but my dad, whenever he has any kind of bodily function, he needs everyone within a mile's radius to hear it. I've literally heard him clearing his throat in another room, and he'll be like, "Ha!" like that. And I'm just like, what kind of mucus do you start developing at 65? That means you got to do all of that. And I have a theory, go with me on this, but I feel like you get to a certain age in life and you realize you don't have many years left. So you got to make every moment count, because you might not have acid reflux again, so you got to really go for it and make a memory, you know? Like, sneeze against the dying of the light. So now if I ever hear my dad snoring next door and it sounds like an experimental prog rock solo, I'm always just like, thank God he's here, you know? Because the Reaper's on his way, and the Reaper's on his way is also the strain of weed that he wants to pick up, so I think that's great. And I think also it's not going to be the fun side of smoking weed, you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be like, oh my God, you queued up the Talking Heads, let's decimate a bag of Tang Fastics together. I don't think it's going to go that way. I think it's more going to be like 2 generations of unemployed men sitting on a sofa, smoking a joint that looks like a witch's finger, you know, just held together by sellotape and a child's wish. With like Bridge on the River Kwai on the TV. Because he loves that flick, and it's always on ITV2, and, you know, and I think he's going to do that dad thing of he's going to lean over to me and be like, you know, son, I did some things in 1982 I never told anyone about. And I won't be able to handle that, you know, because you want to know your parents as people until you find out the kind of people that they are. And then you're like, oh my God, go back. Like, I have to have Sunday dinner with you tomorrow night. I can't do this. Since I've started doing this bit, my dad has managed to find a job. He is now a consultant for a CBD oil business. A product made by and for people who do not know where to get weed. So I think that's fabulous. Which brings us quite neatly on to our next step in becoming your own boy boss, which is own who you are. You have to own who you are because you can't be anyone else. And I've learned the pitfalls of owning who you are because I grew up with a lot of posh people in my life. Like, I grew up amongst them, I studied them. Some of them may be here tonight, some of them may be talking to you with a microphone at this very minute. We just don't know. And what I found out about posh people in all my years of study is that posh people can never admit that they're posh. I think it's because if you admit you're posh, your whole world starts to crumble, you know? You're just like, oh my God, but I say wagwan unironically. I think I'm part of the problem, you know? And the way a lot of people handle it is by being secretly posh, which is like this dark passenger you have within you, you know? You're fine most of the time, but then a full moon comes out and you're like, I must eat a cheese board in Sicily, you know? It's that kind of thing. And like, I have so many friends who like, I know their parents have bought them a flat, but they still have like an Eat the Rich sticker on their laptop. And I'm always just like, all right, get in the Argo. Like, I don't know why are you telling me what's going to happen? I know how it's going to go down. You better be delicious if you believe in this stuff, comrade. Let me tell you. You better come out like a nice filet mignon, honestly. And, like, I just think it's this sneakiness that I don't really like with posh people. And I think it's a sneakiness reflected in the fact that I don't know where Surrey is. Do you know? Like, geographically, I have no idea where Surrey is. Like, emotionally, I know where it is. Emotionally, it's the place where everyone has a 4x4, not to go off-road, but to navigate the rocky relationship with their kids. But, like... But geographically, it might as well be one of those lost tribes in the Amazon. I have absolutely no idea. I think it's called Surrey because of what people say when you find out they're from there, you know? You're like, where you from? Surrey, yeah, my bad. And again, look, I'm not above any of this, by the way. My dog has had acupuncture. Do you understand? I don't even know what was stressing him out so bad. Like I pretended to throw the tennis ball and he was like, I've got to get an appointment. I need those magic needles in me. But it's just the sneakiness I don't appreciate. And like, I think it's a thing of like, what I've noticed with secretly posh people is that they will always have a posher friend that they refer to if they're ever accused of being posh. So you go up to your typical secret posher, you can try this after the show. You go up to your typical secret posher and you go, hey, you're quite posh, aren't you? And they'll be like, me? God no, I wear hoodies and have been in a Primark. I'm really not posh at all. You need to meet my friend Humphrey, that guy. He's always wearing boat shoes and he doesn't have his sea legs, let me tell you. And for me, it's like you're eating at the same table, you know? Humphrey is living his truth way more authentically than you ever will. And at least when the guillotine comes for Humphrey, he's gonna have a good bit of banter to go with it, you know? He's gonna have like his head in the stock and be like, a little bit off the top, lads, wait. And that's good, that's a good thing. But you also have to understand that Humphrey himself also has a posher friend that he refers to if he's ever accused of being posh. So you go up to Humphrey, headless at this point, and you're like, Humphrey, you're quite posh, aren't you? And he'll be like, me? God no, I didn't even go to the sex parties at Oxford. I'm really not posh at all. You need to meet my friend Eggleston, that guy. He travels everywhere by hot air balloon and he only eats steak. He's really, really posh. But then you go up to Eggleston and you're like, Eggleston, you're quite posh, aren't you? And he'll be like, me? God no. This monocle's prescription. I'm really not posh at all. You need to meet my friend Ramesses III. His dad's a jockey and his mum's the state of Luxembourg. He's really, really posh. But then you go up to Ramesses III, and you're like, Ramesses III, you're quite posh, aren't you? You can tell me, a friend. And he'll go, well, I'm comfortable. And the search continues. Don't be like Ramesses and own who you are. By the way, did you guys like my stool work there? That's my favorite thing. It transformed the prop. I quite like having a stool on stage because like I feel like when other comedians sit on a stool, it means they're gonna say something very wise. But whenever I sit on a stool, I look a bit like a ventriloquist dummy, you know? So I might say something wise, but you'll be like, who said that? Who was that? The next step to becoming a boy boss, quite naturally, is to yearn for partner. Yearning is a crucial part of the boy boss journey. I love to yearn. Do we have any big yearners in? Right, a lot less wistful than normal, but I like it. I like to outsource my yearning by being in a long-distance relationship for about 8 years. Long distance for 8 years. We didn't really mean to. We both were just playing hard to get, and it got out of control. I don't know if you know if you've been in a long-distance relationship, but if you have, you'll know that texting is really important. It's your main form of communication. So typos can be quite disastrous. I texted my girlfriend to say, I miss you, baby, but the baby autocorrected to Abby. And her name is not Abby. And I just panicked. I was like, I'm really sorry. I just wish you were here. But then the he autocorrected to her. So it wasn't really... It wasn't much better. She's American, my girlfriend. People ask me what's the most American thing. Yeah, sure, why not? She's American, my girlfriend. People ask me what's the most American thing about her. I think it's the fact that she doesn't believe in Celsius. So we would text each other and she'd be like, what's the temperature like there? And I'd be like, oh, it's like 18 degrees. And she's like, it can't be that low. And I was very lucky to have a girlfriend at all because I've never been very cool or smooth with women generally. I remember one time I managed to kiss a girl at a party and I pulled my head back and I said, how was that? And she went, oh, you know, bit toothy. And I was like, well, if you could just fill out this form so we can provide better customer service for you in the future, that would be wonderful. And even with my girlfriend, we actually bonded over our shared inability to flirt. I don't know if you guys have been in a relationship like this, but whenever my girlfriend and I flirt, it's a bit like a medium trying to contact a spirit on the other side. Because, like, she'll come into the room and say something vague, like, is there something in here that wants to fool around with me potentially? And I don't really know what to do, so I'm just like, ooh. And then she's like, I'm sensing something. I'm sensing a movement. Is there blood rushing to a penis at this very minute? Is that happening? And I'm just like, I have business that needs finishing. And she's trying to spell out cum on a Ouija board, and I'm smashing plates, you know? It's great, you know? I don't know if you guys have tried ghost sex before, but if you haven't, it's wonderful. I can recommend it. I call it ghost busting, personally, but that's just me. I like that one the most. The reason we were long distance for so long is that we met on the blogging website tumblr.com. For those that don't know, Tumblr's a blogging website, but really it's a place where art students and hentai fans meet up to discuss social issues. She sent me a message on there going like, yo, with like 8 O's, and I was like, oh great, a fellow ghost, this is wonderful. And I replied yo with just 1 O because it's easier to spell on the Ouija board. And then we just started talking and sharing more things, and we became closer, and it became obvious that we would have to see each other in real life, which brings us quite neatly on to our next step, which is to begin saving. I think it's very good advice to begin saving 4 steps in. I really do. I think anytime I've ever saved any money, it's in a panic 4 steps into something else. And also, guys, I don't want you to think that I've never had a job. Like, I was actually a receptionist for a long time, and my boss found out that I do this, and she was like, well, you'll have a lot of material because there's plenty of characters in this office. And there was not. Not a single character in the whole office. Just people who get drunk on a Thursday. And I was like, just because you're addicted to cocaine does not make you a character, okay? It's actually the most boring drug addiction you can have, you know? It's like the Toy Story of drug addictions. It's everyone's favorite. Like, yeah. Oh, I like the drug that makes me confident and chatty. Of course you do. What are you talking about? And just as a quick sidebar, all Pixar movies actually align to a different drug. So your Monsters, Inc., your Toy Stories. What's your favorite Pixar movie here?
Bugs Life.
Bugs Life? Okay, that's weird because it's boring and oddly socialist. So I feel like that's why. Aha! For the thinkers, What's your favorite Pixar movie?
Toy Story.
Toy Story, you cokehead, you. We'll sort you out later. And what's your favorite Pixar movie?
Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3. You're crazy, dude. You're at like 5 a.m. like, we should get another call in. We should get a guy. What's your favorite Pixar movie?
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. Oh fuck, no one said that yet. Acid, fuck it, why not? It's my game. I play make a little. Because I came from the world of working in hospitality, and you meet real characters there, you know, people who are addicted to tinsel and stuff like that, you know. And my favorite character I ever met was a guy called Captain Tom, different guy. And it was in this craft beer place I used to work at, and where, you know, those places where like all the beers have these like kitsch millennial names. They're all called stuff like Big Dick Energy, or like Zendaya would drink this stout, you know? Or just like Yar Sours. It was that kind of place. And I don't mean to brag, but we actually managed to get a 1-star health rating, which which was embarrassing for us because we didn't do food. So I don't know what happened. Like just bugged. Did you guys hear that? Okay, cool. Don't worry about it. My chip activated. So I was like, I have to go. No. I don't know what happened though. Like we just poured pints so bad the government had to get involved, you know? It was unhygienic in weird ways too. Like there was mold on the ice. I don't even know. That's like a scientific breakthrough. It was incredible. I thought we could market it as like spicy ice, you know? Like a little kick with your water. Roll the dice with spicy ice. That was my pitch. And the worst thing that happened was I went to make a lemonade with like the lemonade gun and ants came out of it. Not ants singular, like a biblical plague of ants flowed out of this thing. And like, you know, and so people would come up to me at the bar and they'd be like, hey, is this an ant in my drink? And I'd be like, that's just mold, you're fine, don't worry about it. You can handle some spicy ice. The reason we were so badly run, I think you know it, but say it with me if you do, it was cocaine. Our managers loved cocaine so much. They loved it more than paying us, honestly. We would get these 4 a.m. emails just like, I'm really sorry, your payslips are going to be delayed this month. We rolled them up to snort the last lines of Chang. Like, but the difference is, them doing cocaine was the least interesting thing about them. Captain Tom would dress up as a pirate every day of his life, and he would do it with such confidence that you would feel weird that you weren't dressed up as a pirate, you know? So he'd come in and you'd have like the pirate do-rag and the tri-corner hat and all that stuff, and you'd be like, nice eye patch, Tom. And he'd be like, yeah, what are you wearing? And I'd be like, oh fuck, I've got to get a peg leg or something. I thought it was Pirates of the Caribbean. It's much more Devil Wears Prada, you know? And he didn't want to be a pub manager. He wanted to be a pirate. His job before that was he was a professional jouster, and his wife was a Marilyn Monroe impersonator at Butlins. And I always love that because like Marilyn Monroe is such a tragic figure, especially when she's at Butlins, you know? Like, there are no Mr. Presidents to sing happy birthday to in Skegness. There's really not. You're just kind of vamping till Optimus Prime gets back from his smoke break. That's a Butlins deep cut, you guys. Yeah, just, you can see more of a Centre Parks crowd, I think. But as I say, he didn't want to be, he would be really sad. He didn't want to be a pub manager, so he'd shuffle around the bar like, yo-ho, the pirate's life for me. Like, but don't feel too bad for him, because he was also very racist, and racist with like a hard R, you know, like really. And he was really anti-immigration and all this stuff, and I never understood that, because it's like, how are you gonna say stop the boats when you're dressed up as a pirate? You should love boats. They're half your income. What are you talking about? You travel all around meeting people of all kinds of nations. It doesn't track. But I want you to know this is the level of character I will tolerate for your cocaine addiction, you know? Like, you know, you can give yourself the black spot when your septum falls apart, you know? Like, you can tell me your terrible startup idea as long as you have buried treasure, you know? Like, you call the baggy the booty. I don't care. And Captain Tom did live the dream. He actually stole all the money from the till and the safe and did a runner to Spain, which is what a pirate would do. And also what a cokehead would do. And how was he able to reinvent himself in Marbella? He began saving late, panicked, and fucked off. So I think that's... The next step is to open up more. While we're all having fun, but you know, it's time to talk about the men's mental health crisis. But at the same time, me and my girlfriend, Eileen, we were beginning to share a lot more things, and we were like, we'd have these dates where we would like sync up our laptops and watch TV at the same time, and you know, we'd have all these things going on. And one of our favorite things to watch was like reality dating shows. I love reality dating shows because they're not about reality and they're not about dating. Like, really all reality dating shows now are just watching like what sort of psychological torture someone will put up with for a boohoo deal. That's really... That's really all you're in it for. Like, the Love Islanders need a union at this point. Like, they really do. Like, I know they're in a villa, but those are terrible working conditions. And like, my dream job is to be the union rep for like all reality dating show stars. Just, like pamphleting outside a slug and lettuce and like, writing "This machine kills fascists" on bottles of Saint-Tropez and like, trying to coach them through like, those podcasts ad need you more than you need them, Because they don't know what they're doing up there. There's an amazing moment on every reality dating show where they'll talk about their problems as if they're not directly caused by the show. So they'll do these talking heads where they'll be sat there and they'll be like, oh my God, like my husband really freaked me out. I've never seen him act that way. It's like he's a stranger to me. And I'm sat there like, it's because you got married at first sight. That's the whole reason. Are you crazy? Like, who wants to be a millionaire is not an existential question, okay? You don't see them being like, oh my God, I had a total wipeout on that obstacle course. No, they're trying to kill you, okay? You gotta get serious. They're sat around like, is love blind? No, God is dead, okay? So... By the way, I did that joke once in Brixton, and I heard a bunch of women in the back gasp. It was amazing. I felt like Freud himself, But it was, again, we were sharing a lot more things and learning more about each other. For example, I found out that my girlfriend is bisexual, actually. If you didn't know, this is what bisexual girls go for when they date guys. I don't know if you know many bisexual women, but whenever they date guys, they always date guys who look like they're holding lots of dogs at any given time. Like, they have facial hair, but it seems like sellotaped on, and like, they could be writers, but I'm not sure they can hold a pen, It's a very particular kind of guy, and I never thought I'd end up with a bisexual woman, because the kind of people who are attracted to me typically are sort of older women or gay men, and I think for the same reason, because they both know they could destroy me, and that's just their thing, I think they look at me and they're like, either through years of wisdom or physical strength, I'm gonna fuck up that little man. I'm gonna absolutely take him to the cleaners. And I only know this because I've been like the token straight friend in a lot of gay groups, which is a high honor, You feel like the dad or the chaperone, like you're there throwing an American football, like, haha, yes, queen, indeed, She goes, know where I can get some weed? Is that kind of setup? And because of that, people tend to think that I'm gay quite a lot, but I don't think it's because of how I look or how I come across. I think it's just because I'm short and I have a big ass. So people, you can clap that. Yeah, you can clap that. But I think people just look at me and they're like, oh, you could go pro, What are you wasting your time with all these ladies for? We can make a bear very happy if you let us. And what this culminates in is that my girlfriend and I go to a lot of gay clubs together, and when we're in there, I've never felt like I'm holding someone back more, Because she gets in there and she's dancing and sexy and free. There's no male gaze, there's just the gay males, But I'm there in the corner like, hello! You come on with me! I just don't want to keep her from the lesbians. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there could be an amazing butch lesbian out there who could take better care of her than I ever could and bake her focaccia every day. Like, have you met butch lesbians? They're our most powerful natural resource. Here's how powerful butch lesbians are. They can wear the same outfit as you, but it's better. Do you know what I mean? Imagine if a butch lesbian was wearing this. We'd be listening, It would be amazing. I really wanted to be like her hero in that time. I think that's what it's like in the early days of a relationship. You really want to impress the person. I wanted to be like her Spider-Man, basically. Do we have any fans of Spider-Man in? Real quick? Yeah. Some woos. Most of you think he's a menace to the city. That's okay. I like Spider-Man. I used to love Spider-Man as a kid. When I was 8 years old, I would wear a Spider-Man costume underneath my clothes, just in case crime happened, And let me tell you something, no one stepped out of line while Danny was on patrol, all right? Not on the streets of Twickenham, that did not happen. White-collar crime, maybe, but we can't Spider-Man can't stop that. And but I wanted to do everything like Spider-Man as a kid. But here's a fun fact for the non-fans: there's no pictures of Spider-Man ever taking a shit in any of the comics. Like, it's never happened in all the recorded history. And at 8 years old, I was fascinated by this. Like, I was like, how does he do it? Does he have a flap in the back of the suit? Does he have to take it all off like a bodycon dress? Like, does it come out of the wrists? Like, what's going on? And the closest thing I could find to a picture of Spider-Man sitting on a toilet was a photo of him, a drawing of him sat above a building like this. So at 8 years old, that's how I thought Spider-Man took a shit. And therefore, it would be how I would take a shit. And I wouldn't tell any of you this, except one time my dad sat me and my 3 brothers down, and he went, look, one of you is missing the toilet. He said he found streaks down the side of the toilet. And I felt bad about that, because that is not what a hero does, you know. With great pooer comes great responsibility. Like, I learned that from my Uncle Ben, the rice. It was making me shit. And I wanted to be Peter Parker, but I turned out to be Bobby Sands, you know? And like, and I think I got away with it. I think my secret identity was protected, but I think my dad was trying to figure it out. He was obsessive. I imagine him pacing around his room like, I need pictures of Spider-Man, you know, trying to figure it out. And I think I got cocky because one time I left the door unlocked and my dad burst in. And I can only imagine what he thought when he saw his son forgetting potty training in real time, you know? I can just imagine him closing the door like, that kid better get me weed someday, I swear to God. Because Spider-Man loves Mary Jane, we know this. And that brings us on to our next step, secure partner, which, because when you open up to someone for so long in a long-distance relationship, everyone roundly agrees that it's definitely a catfish. I think because I look very catfishable, you know, and it's been said that I'm easy to trick. Like, I was one person really knows me. But one day I was scrolling on my phone and an ad popped up that said, hot Ukrainian women in your area. And my genuine first response was just like, thank God they're safe, you know? Better here than there, you know what I mean? That's not even clickbait, I just want to know what they've lived through, you know? So I texted it and was like, hey, where are you? Are you okay? And she replied, I'm at home, but my parents aren't here. And I was like, oh my God. She must have had to leave them behind. That's terrible. And I was like, how do you feel about the war and Russia and everything? How does it make you feel? And then she replied, horny. And I was like, whoa. All right, well, the propaganda is confusing. So I'm very easy to trick, is what I'm trying to tell you. That bit does I feel like it slightly just reminds everyone that there is a war on. But don't blame me, it's DJ Warcrimes' fault. But the thing about being a boy boss, and a crucial detail, is that you have to not prepare for anything and jump in feet first. So I book the flight, I land in Chicago to see her, and as soon as I hit the airport, I think this might be a mistake. And so I'm starting to panic, I'm starting to look around, and I think, like, have I messed it up again? Is it more shit down the side of the toilet, you know? And then I see her, and it is her, and then we kiss in the airport, and I pull my head back and I say, how was that? And then she's like, oh, less toothy than expected. And I was like, well, we have this great customer service program that we've been running. And then I found myself at American prom. And it's incredible because it's just like the movies. And like, I wanted to win prom king so fucking bad. Like, it didn't matter that I didn't go to the school, didn't go to the country even. It was actually a very colonial attitude, honestly. I was like, I'll go to their nation and they'll crown me their king. I wanted to be like the viceroy of North Naperville High School, you know? And these Americans would come up to me and they'd be like, oh my God, you're English, you must be so posh. And I was like, no, I'm really not posh at all. You need to meet my friend, Ramesses III. And it was all going very well. It was going extremely well. So well, in fact, that my girlfriend felt like she was able to tell me that she loved me. And I wasn't ready for that, because when you don't prepare for anything, you don't prepare for someone to love you. And I didn't really know what to say. I was kind of freaked out. And like, you know, in my world, love has been a really dangerous thing. Like, you watch reality dating shows, they're all having manic episodes, you know? So I said what I think a lot of people say when they've flown halfway around the world to meet their girlfriend, which is I went, I'm not really ready for a serious relationship right now. Which for those that don't know is fuckboy 101. Like, and I was just really panicked though. I just needed time, so I was like, okay, I just need to go to the toilet 1 second. So I went to the toilet to try and calm myself down. So I sat on the toilet, and because I just wanted to get my thoughts together, and I didn't know what to do. So I started running through some of the Boyboss lessons that I've spoken to you about tonight. So I go like, okay, beginner's mindset. You fucked up. Great. And then I hit, okay, fine. Own who you are. Someone who's fucked up. Great. And then I hit yearn for partner, and I remember how hard it was to be apart for all that time, you know, and the whole reason we were seeing each other now was to try and make this work because it was so difficult. And then I'm like, okay, I think it's working. Begin saving. Oh, fuck, I spent so much money on those flights. And then I hit open up more, and I realized, you know, how much I felt like myself talking to her, and I loved getting to know her, and it made me feel more full being in her life, and that I did love her. So I got out of the toilet, and I told her that I loved her, and about 3 years ago, we got married, actually. A twist in the story that works if 90% of you don't know her already. And look, I want you to know, on your own Boyboss journey, you will have a similar crisis of confidence. And I want you to know, when it happens, you're going to be okay. And to prove that, I'm going to show you the last lesson of becoming a Boyboss, which is celebrate L's. That day, I nearly made the biggest mistake of my life. So what I'm about to do is show you the actual biggest mistake of my life. For those that don't know, when you do comedy for a while, you'll have 1, maybe 2 good gigs, and you think to yourself, wow, I better get a nice glossy headshot of myself when all the big gigs start calling me. I'm about to show you a headshot that I got tricked into getting. I'm going to show it to you, and then we're going to play a quick game called How Much Did Daniel Lose? Bear with 2 seconds. Bang. Yeah! Camera 2, camera zoom in. I hope we can all see the issue here. I look like a country singer who's died. I look like a memory in a Harry Potter movie. How much do you think I spent on that, my friend? Over here, we'll get the numbers started. £150? Okay, cool. He thinks I'm a big business brain. Okay, cool. Do we have any advance? 150? What do you think so over here? Yeah.
100. I think it should be less, but 180.
180. We're going up, but should be less. 180. Anyone else want to hazard any up over you here? Any 180? £50. Everyone is like, no fucking way. You got £50, 180. Anything? Any higher? Any lower?
I don't know. I feel like you're gonna say 500.
Shut up!
Sorry.
No. Okay, wait. Like an auction, we're gonna quickly. Okay. And shout when he gets because I'm gonna announce it. 3, 250, £700. So it's not 500, is it? I know. I had to pay it off in installments. Don't know if it was like a shame tax at the end of every month, you know. Water, gas, this fucking thing. I don't know if you've ever cloned your nightmares before, but I have. And look, I never thought I'd tell anyone about this, but recently I got the Stones together to post it on my Facebook, and you would not believe the people who come out of the woodwork when you do something this embarrassing. I got a message from somebody that I haven't spoken to in years, but through Facebook I've seen him like get married, have a kid, become a whole different person. We've not shared one message, but he felt the need to comment, haha, you fucking idiot. And somebody else commented, and I can't believe they made you wear those clothes. Too. To which I had to reply, no, those are mine. So how to explain this? I got a text from a woman who I thought was a friend, a woman who's since appeared on GB News, so do with that what you will. I think this is her first dabbling in misinformation. Because I got a text from her and said, you could get a free headshot if you go down to this studio. My wife, I think I've mentioned that I have a wife, she points out that the free part is I get one printed copy and the rest is their, quote, intellectual property. To which I was like, it's my intellectual face, you know? You really want your company associated with this? I look like when they age up missing children to find out where they are now, you know? But again, Boyboss, we don't plan. I get in there, they take my phone and they download an app which texts all my contacts the deal, right? And the photo shoot itself is actually quite, you know, I feel quite sexy. You know? They're really buttering my bread too. The person taking the photo was just like, click, wow, I think this guy's gonna be on the West End stage soon. And I was like, oh no, sorry, I'm actually trying to be a comedian. And then she went like, haha, you'll be Hamlet in no time. You know, just completely ignoring me. They then take me into a side room with a guy who I have to assume is called like the deal breaker or like the idiot wrangler. And look, we don't have to go into all the details, but I just want you to know that for the same price as a round trip to Alaska, you too can live your biggest nightmare. And also, just this is the last show, I just want to check if anyone here's a lawyer, because I think this is grievous bodily harm, I really do. Are you a lawyer? Oh my god, do you think I have a case? No? That was the most democratic, like, I'm not on the record. Like, and look, that's... Oh, fuck it, hold on. I want to leave you with the last piece of Boyboss wisdom before... Oh, I know. That wasn't quite the end of the story. It was the end of the story till about 3 months ago, where I got an email from the same company saying they would sell me the rest of the photos for £150. And I was like, they're not going to do it again. Like, so this time I haggle, I go to them, I'll buy them from you for £50. Because I think when you get scammed out of money twice and it's less money the second time, you've actually turned a profit. So I'd like you to feel, I want to, as I leave you with my last piece of Boyboss wisdom, I'll show you the remaining photos that I got. So, it's exciting, isn't it? So look, what I know about life is that you can't prepare for everything, okay? You can't prepare for everything. There are some things that are gonna hit you and you don't know what's gonna happen, you know? Like you whether your plans whether you succeed or you fail, that doesn't matter, you know? It's just the fact that you commit to it and went whole hog, you know? And look, I don't even know how much I've really achieved. I don't believe that life is meant to be. I think life is meant to be lived, not achieved, you know, which is why I've not achieved anything, just in case I die, you know. So, and And I don't even know, look at tonight. I don't know how much I've really achieved tonight, but my wife is still really hot, so it doesn't matter. And look, and if you've taken nothing else away from tonight, please know that there are cats loose in the building. Thank you very much for coming!